Hi, this is Nancy Yearout, and welcome to my show, High Road to Humanity. In every episode, I tell you powerful true stories filled with great wisdom that you can use in your own life as you strive for a higher road to travel. My featured guests will have their own unique stories to tell that enlighten your mind and your soul. So kick back, relax, and learn the secret to success when you take the high road.
First touch, strong connection, it lays deep in your soul.
Hi, this is Nancy Yearout, and welcome to High Road to Humanity. And guess who's with me? Joe McQuillen is back, and I'm so excited he's here. You know, he's got a new book out. It's all about Christopher. It's We're Not Done Yet Pop, My Lessons from the Other Side. If you're watching me on YouTube, I'm holding it up. It is available right now on Amazon. And, you know, before I bring Joe on, I just want to say a little bit about the book. It's a fresh follow-up on his first book, My Search for Christopher on the Other Side. You know, Joe continues to share his difficult journey in this father and son tale, We're Not Done Yet, Pop, My Lessons from the Other Side, while simultaneously finding inroads to connection and thriving on this ability to visit his son on the other side at various thin places. Hey, Joe, welcome back to High Road to Humanity.
Thanks, Nance. Looking forward to it. I'm glad to be back on the show. I enjoyed the first one very, very much. So thank
I
you.
enjoyed it too. Well, you know, your book meant so much to me. I think I gave the first one that I had away to someone
Yeah.
to read who had
Well,
lost a
I'll
loved
send
one.
you, I'm going to send you then the first one and the second one, and I'll
Oh.
send it to your New Mexico address. And I'll do
Oh,
that
you're
today.
awesome. Well, thank
Yeah.
you. Well, tell the audience if they haven't seen the first show or read your first book
Yeah.
about your son, Christopher. It's hard to talk about, I know, but
I know.
just
It's
a tough one. It's a tough
Yeah,
one.
I got to tell you, and what you wrote about this difficult journey, that's kind of inscribed in Amazon. You know, it's just a journey. We all have our little red wagons, right? It's just my journey. I was writing some stuff for book number 3, and I was, something came up on a Facebook memory of Chris and I at a Cleveland Indians game on the way to Buffalo for a vacation to Canada, and I thought, that's not fair. And then I remembered fair doesn't fit into it, right? That fair is where you go to eat popcorn and ride the merry-go-round, right? Life is life, and choices are choices. And so, I don't want anybody to feel sorry for me. What I've gone through, what my wife's gone through, my kids have gone through is traumatic, difficult process.
Right.
But I was shown something that I would have never been shown. I was exposed to a world that I would have never been exposed to. Now, to be honest with you, I'd probably be happier to be abysmally ignorant of all things metaphysical and have my kid next to me to watch, Thursday night football tonight. But, but instead I'm going to a spirit circle with Andrew Anderson, who's a medium buddy, and I'm going to bring over dinner for him and his girlfriend and hang out before and do a half-hour reading. That's my life now. But I do still, believe me, I still watch football.
Right.
But that's my life now. So
But it's a blessing, kind of, Joe, because you are closer to God and you do know about the other side and you know so much. And those are some of the questions I want to ask you today.
So at 65, I'm very much closer to God than a lot of your viewers.
Yeah.
I'm rounding third, or at least approaching third, making the turn. So, and what I've learned made my life this last run a lot easier, because I know at the end of the day, I'm literally going to cross over a stream and my son's going to greet me and I'll spend the next run around the track with him.
Yeah.
So sign me up. My favorite sister who joined Chris in February 6, 2019, Marcia, was my godmother, or Christopher's godmother, my sister. She was almost like a ma to me. And before I was with her, a week or so before she transitioned, she said, "Honey, you gave me the greatest gift. I read your book. I'm not afraid to die."
Yeah.
So the bottom line is I have been given this gift, but I got to give it away to keep it.
Yeah.
So that's what we're doing here today. So
yeah.
I will tell you that, the story started in January 2016. The kids were Christopher's a college kid, not very good at it, like his old man. But he was home from college break and all his friends decided the last weekend to go up to Wisconsin and kick up their heels for the last weekend and go back to school.
Yeah.
And they went up on a Saturday morning and they were all going to be back on Sunday. There was a dozen of them, and there was Buffalo. I'm a big Bills fan, grew up in Buffalo, and you can see the Buffalo
Yeah.
hockey jerseys behind.
Right.
And Chris was a big fan, and his brother. And so I was getting ready to watch the game the next morning, and setting up and texting, "Where are you?" And I get a text from his buddy who owned the beach house that all of them were up there in Lake Beulah, Wisconsin. He said, "Mr. McHugh, Christopher and 3 of his friends are missing." So, the night before they were shooting pool and kicking up their heels and
Mm-hmm.
had a few too many drinks, and 3:00 in the morning, as knuckleheaded kids, loving, full of life kids will do, went outside, saw a boathouse, jumped in a canoe, and all 4 of them paddled out. None of them made it back. It was a perfect storm with the
I see.
layered clothing, Timberland boots, unlaced, partially frozen lake, and a little too much demon rum, and so halfway up, I got a call that said it's no longer a search, Mr. McQuillen. It's a recovery. All 4 of them had died.
God bless.
Yeah,
Yeah.
literally, God bless. So,
Yeah.
you know what? I kind of went into shock a little bit, finished my drive up there, and they wouldn't let me identify the body. It's Wisconsin.
Oh no.
Well, they're the same people that drive around in snowmobiles with open containers and rifles. So
Yeah.
things are a little different up there.
Was Sally with you? Was your wife with you?
No, she was home. And in the second book, William wrote my William, who's 22 this week, wrote a beautiful piece. It was his first college piece. It said the first are the worst. And he described how when I called Chris's mom, when I called Sally after I left, how she wailed and his experience of that. He had said that up to that point, he had never seen me cry, and well, things change. I cry a lot these days,
It's okay.
Yeah, I know, and I need parents to know, and I need fathers to know,
Right.
I'm no shrinking violet, but when it's time to emote and feel it and process it, you got to do it.
Yeah.
So got up there and, had a lot of arrangements to make, and I wasn't ready to face the world without Chris. So I decided to, 16 years before, I'd seen a medium who's now out in Arizona, ran into her, went, had lunch with her a couple years ago, and Nancine Myers. And during that the meeting, nothing much was happening because there wasn't that much urgency. But at the end, she said, "Your dad's here and he's showing your railroad." And he held up a railroad caboose. And if you see behind me is a railroad lantern
Yeah.
on mine.
Yeah. So you knew.
Yeah, we were all railroaders. I was a railroader. The whole family, all 5 boys worked on it during college. My dad was a 40-year railroader. We were a railroad family. So I knew that. So 16 years later, flash forward, I thought, wait a minute. If I know my old man somewhere, then Chris has got to be with him.
Mhm.
And how do I find him? And that started my search, Nancy.
That started your search. And I want to say, I think it's awesome. You talk about in the book how you hire different mediums to help you. Sherry Jules, one who's been on my show.
Yeah,
I love
good
Sherry.
girl.
I need to have her back. I was thinking that this morning. I haven't had her in a while. But these people really helped you because it gave you comfort.
It did more than that.
Tell me.
It gave me a direct connection. I think these people are cell towers, right?
Yeah, we are.
Right? Yeah, and you. Yeah, I was reading your biography today too.
Yeah. Oh, did you? You realize I've become more and more psychic, and now I'm just. And it's because I've connected like you. We'll talk about this because this is how you get your messages. I'll just say the reason I've become so psychic, since I have seen you last, Joe, all the people that I've interviewed and all the meditations that I've done and all the practices I've learned from the wonderful people like yourself who have come on this show have elevated my vibration to the point where now when I do a psychic reading, it's like, whoa. And I do pick up people who have passed where I didn't before. And I help them pass. Yes.
Yeah. You know
what?
And I think that's the ticket. For me, it's, everybody's got the same bones and muscles in their right arm. Right. But I can't throw a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. right? And that's where I am with mediums. I have this really great connect with Chris, and recently a couple times with my sister Marcia.
Cool.
But I'm not a medium. I might be a tad empath with my kid, but so I really truly wanted the guy I'm going to go see today, Andrew Anderson. We've become friends since June 30th, 2016, when I first walked into his office.
Wow.
And I just randomly took his name out of
Oh,
a
nothing's
guy.
random, Joe, now.
Yeah, of course not. Right. And then,
I tease you.
yeah, no. So I wanted to connect. I wanted to figure it out. Nancy was great, but she was in Colorado. It was on the phone.
Right,
I wanted to look in the eye of somebody who was looking at my kid. Right.
right,
So
right.
I figured I would do this in person, looked up Andrew. Before I went, this is a cool story. This was from the first book, actually, but it's part of my life and my story. But before I went up there, I had moved my son over from one grave to another because I didn't like that he was too close
Oh,
to
did
somebody.
you really, Joe? I didn't know you did
Oh,
that.
this is pretty funny. So and Chris actually said to a medium, "That's so you, Dad." So we buried him January in the North Shore of Chicago, so the ground
Right,
was cold, and so
right.
when the snow melted, he was, we had bought three spots, me and Sally and I and when the snow melted, he was right next to another couple. When I had this whole, there was we bought six between me and my
Oh,
buddy, and I was
okay.
PO'd, right? So I called and said, I want to, and the woman and I, she didn't give me the answer I wanted. So, I went to her boss, and finally we settled on half. They would reinter him for half, but I was so glad I did it because where he is
Okay.
perfect.
Okay.
And I'm going to occupy the place he was, right?
Okay.
Sally's going to be on the other side.
Right.
And so, and I'm probably going to snore, so that's okay. So,
Joe.
so they had to wait till the ground softened, so they reinterred him in May, and so in June, so the ground was still loose. So I ordered shamrock seeds from Myrish and
Oh, wow. Cool.
from Amazon to place around the grave, which still come up to this day.
Oh, nice.
And then before I walked out the door, so I was going to go to the grave, plant the seeds, then go see this medium, Andrew Anderson.
Yeah.
Plant it. So I wasn't hiding, planting shamrock seeds. Just, Sally was in the office. She's a therapist. She was busy. So I just took my seeds. And before I left, I went into, like you said, nothing's a coincidence. Coincidence is just God showing off,
Yes, exactly.
I pulled out a bracelet, a leather bracelet, from my jewelry case that Chris had given me when he was 5 or 6 at Disney World, and it's just and it had a picture of Goofy on the clasp. So I picked that up, put it on, walked in to see Andrew a couple hours later after planting these seeds.
Yeah.
And he said, Chris acknowledges that he's here. He's acknowledging you're wearing the bracelet. He's acknowledging you planted something in his grave today.
Yeah.
And that moment, Nancy, it went from believing to knowing.
Yeah. Hey, we got to go to commercial break. I'm so glad you're here today. You
Me
guys,
too.
Joe McQuillen's here today. And this is about his son, Christopher. The book is We're Not Done Yet Pop, My Lessons from the Other Side. This is Nancy Yearout. This is High Road to Humanity, and we'll be right back. Hi, this is Nancy Yearout. This is High Road to Humanity. I'm here today with Joe McQuillen. We're talking about Christopher and his messages from the other side. When you first were on my show, you were starting to channel him.
Yeah.
You were starting to do automatic writing, as I recall.
Right.
And so you want to continue on because that's where this next book, where this book came from, is you channeling him.
Sure. Exactly. It's, and it all started, believe it or not, I didn't know what channel writing, I didn't know what spirit writing, I didn't know what guidance, nothing.
Okay.
And so the first anniversary of his crossing, I would come into this office that used to be his bedroom, and his spirit moves freely here. I feel him here. He's here right now. I can feel him on the back of my neck,
Okay.
and so, and he's proud of what I'm doing because I'm helping others,
Yes.
people who need help, right? This is parents need help. And it's only that I've been down the path a little longer than they have, maybe. But the first anniversary, I started waking up in the middle of the night as I do, and I'd come in here and sit and meditate and work on that stuff. And on the first anniversary at 3:00 in the morning, I got a download from a message saying, "Hey, Pop, you're not going to believe this place. It's unbelievable. colors, blues and greens. He said, it's always warm here. It's never cold. He said, and the air is there, but it's love air, and it was like, and I just started writing down, like, I'm getting downloads from, and it was Chris, and he was saying things familiar, but he also said, and of course, you're always going to doubt yourself. Is this me trying to put a Band-Aid on my broken heart, But what he said to me was, hey, Pop, I love Scotty and he loved me. He was a friend. He was just being him. You got to let go of that. And Scotty was the kid whose parents owned the house, the lake house. And I was
because you were holding on to that grief and that anger.
Resentment, more than just the grief. I needed somebody to blame.
Somebody to blame. Okay.
So he was, let's blame him, and so Chris said, you got to let go of that. And I said, sure, Chris, for you, anything. Besides, when will I ever see this kid again? Right. 12 hours later at the grave, I get a text from his college buddies. Said, Mr. McHugh, a few of us are going to meet at 3:00 at the grave on the anniversary. Can you meet us? And Sally and I were going to go at sundown and launch a lantern. But I said, sure. So I ran over there at 3. There were 40 kids there. The first kid I saw was this Scotty. And I realized that my son was preparing me for that moment.
He was.
That I had already dropped the rock, man. I had already let it go because he asked me to. And then I realized it wasn't his fault. They could have been at my house. They could have been at your house.
Right.
21-year-old boys are 21-year-old boys. And it was tragic and horrible. But I thought, oh my God, this isn't me because I wasn't ready to let go of this resentment. And another time he said during it, relationships should be like yours and mine. It should be easier. It should be like a canoe cutting through water. And I thought, would I ever use an analogy of a canoe when my son died in a canoe? I never want to be in a canoe in my life. I'd never, So for him to use that term was another evidence to me that it wasn't me.
Yeah.
It was him sending me these downloads, which I get to this day, Nancy, 2 or 3 nights ago, I got my 3:00 wake up call and bang, got in and he started downloading messages to me.
Now he comes at 3 because the veil is thinner and it's easier for him to communicate, right? You bring up your vibration and he brings his down. Is that what that is?
Exactly. And I didn't know that. I thought it was because he drowned at 3.
And gosh. Oh,
no. It is because it's the bewitching hour.
Yeah,
it's when the energy is
the thinnest.
They're most active. They're thinnest. So I come in here and I do all the things that you wouldn't think a guy with a broken nose and a crew cut would do. I light candles and sage, and I do guided meditations, and I have, crystals and I do all the routine that works for me. Then I listen to a guided meditation, and then halfway through the guided meditation, I get the tingle, I get the chill, and I start writing, and I start getting messages and downloads. How nice is it for your kid to tell you that, what are you going to do in the afterlife? So here's just an example from what he did in the second book. He said,
okay? I was gonna read the Christmas Eve morning, but are you gonna read me one?
Well, just this part of it.
Read me
really
one,
quickly.
Yeah,
do
it.
I miss you too, Dad. We will share this place. This incredible place. It'll be like crossing a shallow stream. You have to cross it yourself, but I'm right on the other side. So it's just natural to walk across to me. And then you're in. Jesus, I mean, who
I know. Well, that's
what it's going to be like.
I know. And I want to read this really quick because we're on the same wavelength you and I are today. It's Christmas Eve morning. Do you mind if I read a little of this?
No, please.
It just really touched me. And it's toward the back of the book. And I won't read the whole thing, but he says, hi, Pop. He calls you Pop. Yeah. He says, Merry Christmas. I always love Christmas. I love being home for it. I'm glad you like my present. I now know you get everything almost I send. Listen to the water in the meditation. You're back on the beach with me. Don't worry about the book. I didn't get you this far. I got us this far. I'll handle it. Just do what's in front of you. You don't have to carry the ball, Pop. I will. The cardinal on Sunday was so clear. You're on the right path, Pop. Time to start writing book 2 again. Trust the process and trust me. Yeah. Well, I mean, and it goes on, you guys, but it's just his love for you. is just so incredible. And each time he writes, and in the book, you guys, it's all italicized, so you can tell when Christopher is writing. It's wonderful. You also talk about twin flames. And
Yeah.
I've heard a lot about twin flames. A twin flame is the other half of your soul. Do you feel that Christopher is your twin flame?
Yeah. Yeah. And I didn't, there was a nice medium, a really lovely gal that I met in 18. And I did a reading with her, and I had never heard the term before. And then I looked it up,
Mhm.
and it's not soulmate. It's a different story.
Right.
We're all from a soul family,
Mhm.
you know, uh, we're all connected, but then there's like branches of that, which are soul families. And a lot of my family members, because he's told me, are in, soul families. But I think he and I have been connected forever. And I
Yeah.
think that we've had past lives together.
Mhm.
That's why we were really comfortable together. Like
You were tight. You were really
we didn't
close.
we didn't have to say a word,
Yeah.
or sometimes you can't get a word edgewise, or we're just listening to music, or we're just hang, so there was this commonality. We could just be. What a gift to just be. And to this
Mhm.
day, I'll pull out a folding chair, and I'll sit at his grave with a cigar in the lab, and I can just be, now.
Mhm.
And I don't want anybody to think like, oh, listen to that poor old sad old man, right? Right. Here's the deal. I lived a life beyond my wildest dreams. Right. I've had this amazing life with these amazing, well, I'm married to the woman that stole my heart 30 years ago,
Oh,
and never looked back, and three wonderful kids, Chris on the other side. I've had and these connections and this life experience, and have done better professionally than I ever meant to do, and get to write books and be part of this other side.
yeah.
So it's not, don't feel sorry for me. I
Yeah, it's
had to be on
cool.
this side for 21 years, but
Yeah.
I'll sit at the grave and I'll smoke a cigar and I'll feel them around me. It's
Yeah.
not some old man feeding pigeons in the park, right?
Mhm.
I go and I'm good, man. I wouldn't trade my life for anybody's, for ups and downs. And part of it is because I know what's next, right?
Yes.
Not
And you're not
everybody's,
afraid. You're not afraid.
no,
And
not
you've
in
helped
me.
a lot of other parents too. I want to say that this book, and that was really Christopher's. I really picked that up
Yeah,
intuitively, and I mentioned that to you. Christopher, his whole goal, well, of course, obviously, is to be connected with you and to know that, the love. But he shares so much as far as he just wants parents to know that their kids are not gone.
they're still, like Susan Geisman says in her book, they're still right here.
Right.
Right. And that's it. And the thing is, I believe that Christopher and I have this amazing connection, and that will continue because he's told me it will. But I
Right.
have a responsibility. I can't hoard this. Right. I
Right.
can't keep this, to myself.
No, you got to
How can I
share
share
it.
that?
Yeah.
And that's the gift. That's the gift.
I'm going to tell you something
Yeah.
that you don't know. So when
Okay.
you were on the show the first time, I was
Yeah.
so just like taken back by this, and I just felt like, wow, I just could feel that Chris was such a cool kid and what
Yeah.
a tragic situation. But one thing that he said has stuck with me all these years. He talked about kindness.
Yeah. Yeah.
He really talked about kindness from the other side and how we're not kind to each other. And man, that stuck with me. And I think about him every time I do a hashtag kindness matters. I think
Yeah.
about him.
And I
Talk
do the
about
same
that.
thing. You know
Yeah,
what?
talk about that.
He was a funny kid, man.
Yeah.
He was funny. He was tough. He was popular. He always stood up for the underdog.
Yeah.
He was a party boy, a good athlete, and he was a guy's guy. But he had a
Yeah.
heart of gold,
But he was kind.
and he was so kind to people.
Yeah.
And he shared this blue collar foundation that I have, and I try to share, that we got to help each other,
Yeah.
and he schooled me on that lesson. When and there's one thing I sign off with is three things in human life are important. The first is to be kind, the second is to be kind, and the third is to be kind. That's
Oh my
Henry
God.
James. Henry James, right?
Yeah.
When my sister's youngest died of an aneurysm when she was 41, left two little boys that she had adopted, her and her husband. And we were there for the funeral. Chris was in Vermont, and he came in. And we were packing to leave. He goes, I'm staying. I said, what do you mean you're staying in Buffalo? He said, look, Dad, Bill's got to get back to work. Everybody's got jobs. I can take time off. He said, somebody's got to help with these kids. So for 2 months, he stayed and, went to kindergarten and bath time and made dinner and commuted, and when I said to him, that's a heck of a responsibility, he looked at me and he said, Dad, that's what family does. I mean, he
Amazing.
schooled his old man.
He kind of schooled me too. Anyway, so we got to go to commercial break.
Okay.
We're here today with Joe McQuillen. We're Not Done Yet Pop. My Lessons from the Other Side is the book. This is Nancy Yearout. This is High Road to Humanity, and we'll be right back. Hi, this is Nancy Yearout. This is High Road to Humanity. I'm here today with Joe McQuillen, and we're talking about his son, Christopher. Joe, talk to the audience about the different places that you go. You do a chapter in the book called The Thin Places. Talk about that.
That was, I think it was Van Prague or maybe it was John Holland. I read one of their books and it was talking, and it mentioned thin places.
Mhm.
And I was like, wow, what is that? Right. So I looked it up, and it's places that the veil is thinnest between the two worlds.
Mhm.
And my thin place isn't necessarily yours. It could be. There's some that probably share. For example, my office is a thin place. I feel Chris around me. The grave.
Right. I was going to
grave's-
say the grave is a place
grave's
that,
very thin place. And I'll go there at night, and it's not creepy. It's wonderful, right? And it's Sacred Heart Cemetery is open 24 hours. I just pull up a chair, a cigar. Now you got to be careful this time of year because there's skunks, so you got to keep your dog on the leash. I learned that lesson a few years ago.
now, haven't you met some people at the gravesite too?
I've met all kinds of, there's a chapter called "You Meet the Nicest People."
Yeah, that's what I know.
There's this whole family. My buddy Tom, whose wife, it's going on a year, and his son played minor league baseball, and a woman, couple of plots over, her little young son died, and they're a hockey family, and they'll leave hockey sticks at his grave, and Christopher, Christopher's buddy is Jimmy. His dad is maybe 20, 30 paces away. So, I know the people. So, it's kind of like this community of people. You don't have to say much, right?
Yeah.
We can sit and chat. We don't have to tell each other our stories. We know our stories. Just kind of, have
Mhm.
you been exposed to Helping Parents Heal? Helping Parents Heal is this amazing, amazing website but you have to be a parent who've lost kids to be able to
Okay.
join it, and encourage anybody who listens here who's lost kids. Go on Helping Parents Heal,
Okay.
and they're an amazing group of people, and actually, and just shot a documentary not long ago with, out in Arizona with Craig McMahon, and he did he's done some films, and I just love that group. So there's this commonality, and the
Mhm.
nice thing about places like Helping Parents Heal is that nobody thinks you're looking for attention, or you're looking,
Right,
for anybody.
right.
We're all in the same boat, kid.
Well, yeah, and let's talk about that just a tad really quick. And I
Yeah.
hate to get off the subject a little bit, but you talk about, and I think this is important, when Sally goes to the Sally wouldn't go to the grocery store for a year.
Yeah.
And I want you to talk about this because people need to hear this, because it was the way people acted to her when she went. And I want you to make people aware. It's a hard thing to talk about, but it needs to be addressed, I
And
think.
it's these, and nobody means to, right?
Right.
But the bottom line is, you're not going to remind us that our son drowned in 2000. We're pretty aware of that, 2016.
Oh my
So
God.
it's like, oh my goodness, I forgot. Now my feelings are hurt. That's not how it goes.
Right.
How it goes is, there was a line from the movie Manchester by the Sea that said, my heart was broken, it'll always be broken. Now, my heart's always going to be broken. Now, I have a wonderful, fulfilling life. I adore my children, my wife, my family, my life. I love golfing. I was working,
Mhm.
and I like to stay in motion. So, but I do it all with kind of a broken heart. So when somebody says, "I know what you went through,"
Mhm.
kind of like me saying to an amputee, "I know what you're going through." I don't. I'm not an
Mhm.
amputee.
Right.
But the real action, all you need is just somebody said, "Hey, that must be hard. I get it. I'm sorry." That's all.
I think people don't know what to say. I think that's the hardest thing. And then they say the wrong thing, and then it becomes uncomfortable. Is that pretty much?
And then they'd rather not engage you in case they're going to say something and hurt your
So
feelings.
then they don't,
These are
they
nice
avoid you.
people. They just
So they
don't
avoid
know.
you. Yeah.
Yeah. They
That's a
don't
hard thing.
know. You know,
Well,
but I like when people, come up and say, hey, I went to high school with Chris. I loved them, and I love,
cool.
and kids are so
Real.
much more free and
Yeah.
open. And, his friends from college are like family. We just went to a wedding with his best friend, Michelle, who was and I love the fact that my, rambunctious boy's best friend was a woman in school who was just his pal, and all of those kids, they come to the anniversary every year. I have a golf outing. They show up every year. They're like family. I said to one guy last year at the grave, I said, Jace, you got you got kids coming now. So you might not be able, he goes, no, we'll just bring them with us. So the bottom line is these guys are going to continue to stay in our heart,
Right.
So, but yeah, by not mentioning it doesn't mean, we've forgotten,
Right.
but one brief thing I want to do about the thin places was that,
Yeah.
I really think people should try to, people who are trying to connect with their kid, try to find a couple of places, beaches in Florida at night, huge for me, huge for
Right.
Chris and I.
Right.
Why? I don't know. I'll tell you when I cross over, I'll give you a call, Nance, and tell you what
I
the
think
story
it's the sand. I think it's that quartz
What?
crystal sand. That's what it is. I'm going to tell you that's what it is.
The quartz
Yeah.
crystal stand that I've
Yeah.
got here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. And there are other beaches that I get it too, but Florida's really strong.
Mhm.
I went to Sedona and it was okay. I was a little disappointed, right? It just, I don't know. Maybe it's because it's, been kind of like a drive through at this point.
Yeah.
And then I went
Yeah.
to
That's
Lilydale. I was and got, knocked off my boots, man. It was incredible. The
Wow.
energy was spectacular. So, I think look up thin places.
But listen to you talking about the energy. Wow.
It's all energy.
Yeah. And let's talk about that a little bit because,
Okay.
Chris talks about it. He says everything is energy.
Yeah.
What has he taught you about energy? Because I
You know
hear you
that-
talk about it like you're a pro.
Yeah. You know what? Energy doesn't die. It doesn't go away. I mean, that's science, right? And there's a wonderful book, and dare I say a woman's book, right? Which is what I thought it was, right?
Okay.
Called The Secret, right?
Oh, no, that's not a lady book.
No, not at all. That's what I said. I thought.
Yeah.
And it's one of my favorite books. I keep an audible version. I download it and I'll listen to it.
Yeah.
And it talks about that energy never dies,
Right.
energy. So great line. There was a movie called it was a great movie called What Dreams May Come. And here's a perfect example. Yeah. It really helped me bring it into my kind of, boots on the ground mindset.
Mhm.
Is that Cuba Gooding Jr. was the spirit guide, and so when the guy who died, great actor, said to his spirit guide, how does this work? And Cuba Gooding Jr. said the origin of the word body is the Anglo-Saxon bodig, meaning abode, which is what the physical body is, a transient dwelling for the real self.
Mhm.
He said, like you're in your house now. You're in your house. That doesn't mean you are your house.
Right.
House falls down, you get up and walk out.
Yeah.
Cleared it all up for me. When our body falls down, whether it's from age or, impact or whatever,
Mhm.
our spirit walks out. It's just,
I know.
it's just a meat suit, right?
Right.
Our being is, so Chris, I still visualize Chris in the exact same way I always did. That beautiful sideways smile. He looked like Brad Pitt,
Yeah.
That's how I
Good looking
visualize.
kid. Good looking kid.
Beautiful. Thank God
Yeah.
he gets that from his mom, But
Yeah. He was kind of a smart ass too, huh?
total. And he continues to bust my stones.
I was going to say, can I ask you something really
Yeah,
quick? When I was
sure.
reading some of these things from Chris, and this shocked me, not only because he's on the other side, but he curses a little bit.
Oh, he curses a lot. Yeah. And actually curses. It's funny. One medium said he curses less than he used to, but he still curses.
But he still
You know?
curses, and he's over there and he curses. So like,
Yeah.
that's it. He's just who he is, man. And he
He's just
stayed
who
that
he is.
way.
And he makes fun. He makes fun of my haircut. He's nice cut, Pop.
Oh my God.
And he'll say, you can use your weight, to get things done. He said, you have enough of it,
Oh
I
my
mean,
God.
yeah. I mean, this is exact, so what happens is we don't become angelic the minute we
Yeah.
cross over. We're not omnipresent. We're not God. We're
Yeah.
the same people. Now, Chris is on a fast track. And he said this to me. He said, look, Dad, I'm moving up to a different level.
Oh.
He said, but it's not going to change our communication. It's like me calling you long distance from Arizona or California. It's the same connection. So don't worry about that. So
What about the levels? What about the
Yeah.
levels? What's he
You know
say
what?
about, what's he say?
And that's really it. And you don't have to move up at all. You
Oh.
can just go over there and be, and just, and then other people, he said to me, Dad, I'm finally the smartest guy in the room. I'm working hard. I'm a student. He said, I learned French. I know how to surf. So he's continued to evolve. He works with kids over there because that's what he told me he does. But when he was at a boarding school in Arizona, because he was my kid,
Right.
and that boarding school is still near and dear to my heart. They for boys with addiction from 14 to 18. I sit on their board. Half of the money from our golf outing goes there. Half to Penguin players for adults
Wonderful job.
performing, young adults who have disabilities.
Yeah.
We just raised 17,000 for each charity after this last golf outing.
Oh my gosh.
So they got some scholarships for special ed kids, and they got some scholarships for teens with addiction. I mean,
Look at all the good that's come from this.
Yeah.
Isn't it amazing? Hey, we got to go to commercial break because
Yeah.
I'm using this for the podcast. You guys, the book is called We're Not Done Yet Pop, My Lessons from the Other Side. It's by Joe McQuillen. This is Nancy Earlt. This is High Road to Humanity, and we'll be right back. Hi, this is Nancy Earlt. This is High Road to Humanity. I'm having a really nice conversation today with Joe McQuillen. We're talking about his son, Christopher. God, I feel like I knew him.
Yeah, I think you probably did. I think you probably do now. I'm not surprised if you don't feel him around you because.
Oh, yeah.
he's
What a
pretty good
nice
at this.
guy. Well, I did get a message before, like I said, he really, his mission is really for you to help other parents. And,
Yeah.
It's hard to lose a child. And I really believe that you've helped so many people. You talk in the book about all these different people that have lost children that you've helped. There was that one man, I think he had two sons, twins, maybe.
Oh,
huh?
he's, here's how that connection goes. His name's Matt.
Okay.
And he lost two 4-year-old boys. They weren't twins. One died. He got
Oh.
electrocuted. There was some water leakage in the basement, and the kid touched an outlet.
Oh
You know,
my God.
They had another baby who died of leukemia. Now, here's how I met Matt. Christopher's first year in college. I'm going to go pick him up after the semester. He said, Dad, can I bring my friend Pat home? He lives in Northbrook. I said, sure. So I pick him up in the Jeep, and we're driving back, and they're talking about being out rock and rolling the night before. And Pat said, I said, well, actually, Patrick, I've been, I've been sober now 36 years. So at the time, 35 years. And so, but I've had my moments. Don't feel bad for me. And they were laughing. He goes, my dad's starting that journey too. Well, I said, well, have your dad call me. So we started introducing some meetings, and he's an attorney downtown who runs a halfway house. He's, just a beacon of hope and help for recovery.
Nice.
But Patrick was one of his triplets, and Patrick and Chris remain friends. Patrick comes to my golf outing every year with his dad, who's friends of mine, and Matthew, really credits Christopher for putting the whole thing together. You said something about the good that's done. There was a book called The Shack, which I read before Christopher crossed over. It was a pretty powerful book.
Okay.
And in one quote, God says to the husband who had lost a daughter, just because I work incredible good out of unspeakable tragedies doesn't mean I orchestrate the tragedies. In other words, God didn't take Christopher from me.
Right.
Christopher's free will caused him to leave us early, but God didn't take him. And when I got my arms around that, I knew that God wasn't a chess master,
Right.
moving us around. So,
Right.
Pat, it's amazing. If you go to Amazon and you look at the book, and the second one just came out, the first one's got 200 reviews, which is really nice. And if
Yeah.
you read them, I remember reading them and saying to Chris, we've done our job, buddy.
Yeah. Why the second book?
I didn't know there'd be a first book, but I certainly
I
didn't know
know.
there'd be a second.
Yeah.
So
Talk about that.
So after putting together the second book, he literally said to me, "We're not done, Pop. We're going to do
Yeah.
this until you cross." So I was like, "Okay, I get." And what a relief that was for me, because there was this gap that was starting to feel, if I'm not connecting, if I'm not
Well, I say.
doing
Yeah.
service, if I'm not utilizing his spirit.
Right.
So that's where the title of the book comes from. He said, "We're not done, Pop." So it was kind of like, don't get comfy. we're going to keep,
Yeah.
we're going to keep going.
Yeah.
You asked me about things that he's told me that surprised me.
Yeah. I want to know. Yeah. What did he tell you that really shocked you?
Here's my favorite. And here's one of the reasons that I know this isn't me. I'm not that creative, and he said to me, my sister Marcia transitioned, as I told you, in 2019.
Mhm.
And before she crossed, she had had cancer for 5 years, and she was just vibrant, lovely, wonderful. Chris didn't trust a lot of adults growing up, but he trusted her, and she would never let him down, like she never let me down. So he said to me, Dad, the minute she crosses over, I promise you, I'll be there.
Mhm.
So after she transitioned, Chris came to me and said, when Marcia crossed, I was there, like I told you. So was Jerry, Bobby, Billy, Pat. We were all there when she crossed. He said, but then she had to go away for a while, and like a spa. And when she came back, she was younger than even when I was a kid. That surprised me. I had no concept of that. And then I figured it out, that she had died of cancer. Now the cancer stayed with her body, but the
When she
trauma
left. Right.
followed her. So she had to go somewhere, and he put it in such a loving way, like a spa,
Oh my God.
where she could purge this, where she could handle
Release
this,
it. Yeah.
release it, and then rejoin the family. And they're together all the time out there.
Oh, that's really cool.
I walked in 150 people at Andrew Anderson. I'm sorry, it was Thomas John. Sally and I just impromptu, we saw that he was a couple towns over. We showed up, and about halfway through, Thomas keeps looking over his shoulder, and he's been addressing the left side of the room, but like a Gatling gun. Just amazing what he's saying.
Mhm.
Then he said, there's this family, and members keep showing up. And he laughed, and he said, frankly, they kind of scare me.
Was it
And
your
my wife,
family?
Sally, elbowed me and said, it's your family, right? And he goes, finally, I've got to address this. He said, who's got a brother? His name is Jerry, but it's not Gerald. It's some other variation. And I raised my hand and I go, yeah, it's my oldest brother, Jerry. Jerry was Jeremiah. He goes, yeah.
Oh.
He said, all right, Billy's here. Marcia's here. He said, no, it was before Marcia passed. Billy's here. He said, there's a brother that took his life in the 70s. I said, that was Bobby. He said, and then there's a sister, but the title seems Aunt, and her name is Pat. And your son is making bunny ears behind her head. Did they used to make fun of her? I said, all the time.
Oh my God.
All the cousin sport was seemed to drive Pat crazy. And they all came together. And here's the amazing thing. So Chris came through and validated and said that he's the best looking spirit in the room. And he was just wonderful and told us.
I love it. I
reinforced
love
it. It was mostly just validation.
Yeah.
But Thomas said, look, the whole family stepped back so Chris could finish. But now Chris is stepping back, but he's bringing a young man forward whose name's Michael or Joshua, who's shy, very shy. And his mom, Martha, is in the audience. Who is it? And the woman raised her hand. She goes, look, your son's here. He loves you. He's with you all the time, but he's too shy to come forward in a group. So thank Christopher for bringing him forward. That's who Chris was. That's who Chris was,
Wow. I got chills on that one, Joe.
Yeah. So those are the
That's
surprising
amazing.
things.
Yeah.
I don't know the rules. I know a few of them now, but But I do
Mhm.
like, I got to tell you that one thing that I read you about crossing the stream. I guess the rule is I've got to cross on my own. I've got to
Right.
voluntarily take that step. And then Chris is there, and,
Mhm. He'll be
you know,
waiting for you.
yeah,
Yeah. When I help people cross, one thing I always, they always say, I heard my name being called.
yeah,
I always hear that. They always say
yeah,
that to me. They're calling my name.
yeah.
So I know that they've made it. And it's like they're surprised. It's really weird. I don't even know, but that's what
He
they
said that to
say.
me. Chris said to me,
Has he said that to you?
he said, Dad, when I crossed, it was a shock. He said, the learning curve will be a lot easier for you
Yeah.
because of the lessons I'm giving you.
Right.
You
Right.
know, so he was halfway to the other side before he figured it was really happening. And then he thought, this is from a medium, OF. I guess I did it this time, right?
Oh my God.
And then he crossed,
What a cool kid. Hey, I want to ask about his brother and sister.
Yeah, sure, sure.
How are they doing and how have they handled this? I know that I read in the book and I was surprised that they weren't that close at one time and they had become close and then he passed.
Well, that's it. Chris was a bit of it's a Chicago term, jagoff to his younger brothers and sisters. And I think upon further review, it was that they seemed to handle life. They were a little more mainstream, following the rules, studying grades. And Chris was like his old man, just a,
He was a
you know,
rebel.
he was a little wild colonial boy, and I didn't know a rule that I couldn't break, right? It was like, hey, I can break this one. And so I knew exactly where he got it from, So I think he kind of resented that life appeared a little easier to them, right?
Mm.
But as they got older, Chris had a newfound kindness and respect for them. And William was a lacrosse player and Chris would send me, wow, man, the kid's a beast. He's something, and a football player. And Chris was a good athlete too, but just didn't have the discipline that William did.
Mhm.
And Caroline actually works for me now. And I'm a mortgage broker. And
Oh, wow.
so I brought her in and so it's wonderful. I mean, I get to see her every day, and have,
That's nice.
lunch with her almost every day. So, and she's happy to be working from home today because I'm working from home today because of you.
Okay. Oh, good.
And Caroline literally said to me, we were finally getting close. And then he left me, So we have to, if there's any lesson a parent's going to get out of you got to let your kids heal on their own pace. You can't impose it. I can't impose it on them, So William's more open to the other side.
Okay.
He's been to mediums.
Oh,
Caroline's been to one at Lilydale. She won't tell me what happened.
oh,
William was an open book about it. Caroline hasn't read the books, and
oh, she hasn't.
she's
Oh, she's
just
not
not ready.
ready. Yeah.
And
Judgment. Yeah.
everybody's got to grieve in their own way. Sally
Okay.
grieved the first 6 months after Christopher crossed. Sally shut down. She stayed in the house. She did thank you cards for the funeral. She did all the BS routine that keeps you busy.
Mhm.
She had a healing that really helped. And then
Yeah, I
started
read that
coming
she had
out
a
of it.
healing. That was really
Yeah.
cool. That was
Yeah,
cool.
very cool.
Yeah.
And now she's in private practice. She's a therapist and does a lot of, work
Yeah.
with younger people and some with addiction, some, and she's getting certified as a grief counselor also, so who better than somebody who's been through it, right? But it took her 6 months of shutting down. I can't sit still for a day without, going crazy. And I need to fill in as much activity because that gap left too much pain, right?
Right. Right.
So everybody heals in their own way.
Right.
When I shut it down to connect with him, to sit at the grave. And then I'm at peace with that.
Yeah, that brings you peace and comfort. And I think
Yeah.
it's wonderful. What a cool spirit. You've become such a spiritual guy since I've
I know,
seen you
who would've
last.
thought,
I
right?
love
Yes.
it. I
Yeah.
think it's wonderful.
I'm an entirely different guy than I
You
was
are. You're
prior
an
to
example.
January 3rd, 2016. Yeah, I
Yeah.
am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've been a wonderful example and a bright light for other parents,
Yeah.
Joe.
Thanks. Oh gosh.
Yeah. What's the next book?
The next book is, I got to tell you, I mean, same thing. It starts with January 3rd, 2019, and I have a bunch of experiences. I will, even though I went into the thin places, I'll actually tell the stories of all of those because they happened after 2000, in the year 2019 and going forward.
Mhm.
A lot more exposure. I've learned a lot more. I've tried a past lives regression, which I want to do more of. Now, the next book is, I'm about ankle deep in this stuff. It's not like I'm an expert. I started, really at the ground up, and
Right.
I'm still just ankle deep in the water here, so I want to immerse myself more. I mean, we're all going there. Let's figure out how to get there with style,
I love it. Oh,
Me
that's
too.
wonderful. I like
Me
that,
too.
Joe.
Yeah.
Hey, got to get out of here for today.
I'm not ready to go. I'm going to hang
I
out.
know you're gonna have to come back and see me again. Well,
I will see
definitely,
you anytime.
definitely. The book is called We're Not Done Yet, Pop, My Lessons from the Other Side by Joe McQuillen. It looks like this. If people want to get in contact with you, can they contact you?
Yeah. Here.
How do they
My
contact you?
email is jbmcquillen@gmail.com.
All
Email
right.
me. I'll send you my cell phone number.
Oh, God
I'm
bless.
doing a presentation at Helping Parents Heal. I'm doing a bunch, but the presentation of Helping Parents Heal is lovely because I get half of it. I do Q&A where I can talk to the parents, and that's on at 11:10. So if you lost a kid, join Helping Parents Heal and tune in. And but yeah, jbmcquillen@gmail.com. I'm redoing a website because I did a terrible job the first time. I'm redoing it now with the second book, and then so I'll be there. I'll have a website for Joe McQuillen.
All right. Well, Joe, we'll have you back for the next book.
Good. Well, we already broke ground on it, so
Oh my gosh,
it's coming.
That's wonderful. Well, you're doing great work, and I know that many people appreciate it. So God bless and thank you
You're
for
doing
that.
great work, and thanks for having me on.
Thanks. Hey guys, this is Nancy Yearout. If you want a psychic reading, go to my website. Just click on the book button, and you can book your psychic reading with me. We are so glad Joe came today, and God bless. We'll see you next time. This is Nancy Yearout, and take care. Bye bye.
Connect the dots and keep the motion. Can achieve your goal. Let's hit the higher road.
Hey, you guys, join me next week on The High Road for more stories filled with wisdom, love, and hope for our future. Have a fabulous week, and know that by staying on the high road, you will make it to your destination. Visit my website, nancyyearout.com, where you can book a private session to learn how to tap into your own abilities. And check out my YouTube channel. It's Nancy Yearout's High Road to Humanity.
You can achieve your goal.